What's going on, beautiful people? It's your girl, Guruji Chastity. And never mind the noise if it kind of sounds loud in my background. I decided to go outside because it's a beautiful rising today. So let's get into it. This is, I want to say, the fourth class on our Reiki series. And today we are going over Reiki and emotions. So let's get into it, family. Boom. Let's look at what we're going to cover today. Emotional intelligence. And we're going to ask the question, do you have emotional intelligence? What does that look like? Next, we're going to go over the chakras, like the chakra system in itself and how that directly correlates with your emotions. I've been doing a lot of teaching about what the chakra is, or what the chakras are, and how the 7 chakras manifest in our body from the 7 laws of the universe. But I haven't really tapped into the emotions of it all. So let's get into it today. Next, we're going to learn about clearing the chakras, the good and the bad. So some things that we can do to clear your chakras right then, right there in the moment, something very tangible where it doesn't cause a lot of woo-woo, a lot of thinking, a lot of time, none of that, right? Next, we're going to talk about acceptance. What does that look like? And why does acceptance even play a part in emotions in Reiki, right? And so we're going to get into that. And this is a good step in the process. So if you make it to step number 4, you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't know. Number 5, we have a little activity that we're going to try at home, right? Something that, again, that we can do to make it tangible, to right here, to right now. And then number 6, as always, close out how you all can receive this information, how we can stay connected, and, just share my gratitude for you all taking the time to be here with me. All right, so important information about this particular series. This is class number 4 out of a 10-class course. And so this full class video will be available at www.patreon.com/Guruji Chastity at the adept level. This is the class 4 out of a 10-class course. The first 10 minutes will always be available on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube so that you have the ability to study at your own pace. At the Abundant Living Gurukul, we teach spiritual success, right? This is our spiritual university. So let's get into it. You always have a place to come if you're in need of knowledge, and we got you. So boom, number 1 on the list, emotional intelligence. Do you have emotional intelligence? That's the question, family. That is the question, right? So let's look at it. What is emotional intelligence truly, right? So emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize and understand emotions within yourself and others. It is also your ability to use this awareness to manage your reactions and your behaviors, which influence your relationship with others, right? And this is very, very important. Excuse me, family, I live very close to the airport. But as we were saying, emotional intelligence truly is the ability to recognize your own emotions. I would like to say understanding and recognizing the emotions of other people and how to maneuver through them will only come to you or only be of ease to you if you know how to identify and manage your own emotions. Because you have to remember, people, we are all reflections of one another. We stem from the same consciousness, right? And because we stem from the same consciousness, all of the same vibrations and emotions and the potential to reach every crevice of those emotions and vibrations live within all of us, right? And so 9 times out of 10, we've all experienced the same vibration, but it's just our perspective of thought that gives it the illusion that is different. But we all stem from the very same level of consciousness. And so if you want to improve your relationship with others, you must first improve your relationship with yourself. And what that means is not being able to just say, oh, okay, that makes me mad and I don't like when people do that, right? We have to get deeper into it. Why does that make me mad? Is there something that happened to me to where I get triggered by that in particular, or is my emotional reaction stemmed from a learned behavior that I learned maybe from a parent or somebody who raised me, or even from my peers when I go out into the world? A lot of our emotional behaviors and triggers stem from, we saw somebody else do it, and so we thought that was kind of cool, and we took on that mask and tried to put it on for ourselves, and then we stored that information and that data and that detail, and then that's now become a part of our person. And so learning or taking on the practice of having emotional intelligence is more than just identifying what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what makes you defensive, what makes you curious. It's more than just identifying those. Once you know, which is the first level of awareness, you then have to do something about it by feeling into it. And so when you feel into it, you have to test the nature of that theory, right? You have to really see, okay, is that really me that feels this trigger, or is this prompted by something else? And as we get into triggers, the question being, can you identify your triggers? And looking deeper into what triggers are, let's take a moment to, dissect that. Triggers are something that generates a prolonged emotional reaction. Triggers are shaped by personal history. And even see this, when we begin to identify triggers, you can easily see that, like, yo, this is not me. Or, this is something that was stemmed by an emotional reaction, right? By a trauma pattern, damn near, you see. And this is what Reiki comes in, like that tough love mother, and say, whoa, 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 look at what you're doing. Is this what you want? Because I can't hold this for you anymore. We have blinders on, but when we accepted this pure natural energy of Reiki, we can't afford to put blinders on at this point, right? And so continuing on with identifying triggers and emotional hijackings, we have to understand that since our brains are hardwired for emotion, our first reaction is almost always like a surprise gift, right? Our emotional reactions are always going to be a surprise. They're always going to be a surprise because that is how our bodies are hardwired. This process ensures that you have an experience and not just the knowledge or rational aspect of life. And that is only done through the thinking brain and not through the heart brain. And so that is why damn near when you have emotions, they just take you over. Because imagine, right? We are always in thought. Because that's the first, none of us exist outside of a concept, right? We had to exist inside of an idea, right? Our parents, the universe, somebody had to think us into existence, right? And then we come down and we feel into it. And then that's when we begin to develop a body, right? So we already know off top, our entire existence is based off of thought alone, which means I want to say damn near 9 out of 10 of us are always in thought, right? And so if we're always in thought, in order to maneuver throughout this dimension, you would need something else that's overpowering, that's more powerful, that's more jarring than your everyday thoughts, because you are always in thought. And so because you are always in thought, your body, the universe, in order to connect and to speak and to give you information, something has to break that chain of thoughts, right? And so when you think back on your emotions, don't they interrupt your thoughts? Aren't they like, oh shit, where did that come from, right? I like to call it hijacking. I got emotionally hijacked, right? And as I began to funnel this information through my experience that I was learning about the chakras and Reiki and what was happening to my body, I learned that that was an actual thing. It's called an amygdala hijack. Look it up, family. It's a real thing, right? And that is where our emotions hijack our brains, because we get to the middle portion of your brain. And gosh, I wish I knew I know it's occipital lobe, the frontal lobe, but I'm just not correlating the actual locations. But we receive information through our 5 senses that travel up our spinal cord and hit the base of our spine. Once it hits the base of our spine, the next place that it goes is into the middle of your brain. And that section right there, the middle of your brain, prioritizes emotion like anxiety, fear, anger, all of that. It prioritizes that. And then it goes to the frontal lobe where there's logic, right? So we are actually hardwired to be taken over by emotion so that it can stop your train of thought. It's damn near like a superpower. Your emotions supercharge your thoughts, so then you can see which way you're going to take this spell, because that's all emotions are. Emotions are magic. Our emotions and our thoughts are magic, right? Your thoughts are magic, and then the emotions is the magical sauce that make it say boom, there you go. You know what I'm saying? And so you have no control.